What's up, everybody, man? You know I go by the name of Hoop Jargon, man. And so we got a great show lined up for you. So I see everybody's, in full throat, trying to take in what we're talking about. We're going to talk about Coach Prime. We're going to talk about his statement about recruiting kids from single-parent households. So I know that's going to be a trigger word for a lot of y'all. So we're going to just go ahead and address it. I'm going to bring my guy up Between the Game Sports. Will, what's up, man?
Yo, what's the word, man? Let's get to it, man.
Bird's the word.
Bird is the word. Shout out to Peter Griffin.
Shout out to Peter Griffin, man. And salute to Brian Turner, the building, man. Says, whoa, yeah, man. So, I want to address this head on, man. And so the thing that sparked this whole conversation is a statement that Coach Prime put out. And I want to say this verbatim to make sure I'm not missing anything. So allow me to do so, the listening audience. And y'all hit that like button before we get into that. So I know we ain't done videos in a while, but we about to come in fast and furious. Shout out to what's old buddy name?
Oh,
You must say Ving Rain. That's the wrong name.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, yeah.
Vin Diesel. Family is all it's about.
Not quite. Okay, so doggone it. You got that picture? Because I want to get into it. I want to make sure I'm not misquoting the.
He said.
Go ahead, read it.
Good Lord.
I thought I had that.
What he basically said was he wanted, for quarterbacks, he wanted dual parents, someone who's not in trouble, things of that nature. And then for like offensive lineman, he wants the same thing, but it's totally different what he wants out of the defensive lineman. So that's basically kind of to sum it up.
I got it already. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that went viral, y'all. So Deion says, and what the headline says, Deion Sanders looks for dual parent homes and QB recruits, single mama households, and defensive linemen. Interesting. So for quarterbacks, he wants a mother, father, dual parent. We want a kid to be 3.5 GPA and up because he has to be smart. Not bad decisions off the field at all because he has to be a leader of men. Then for defensive linemen, he wants single mama trying to get it on free lunch, Sanders continued. I'm not talking about just trying to make it. He's trying to rescue mama. Like mama barely made the flight and just go get it. And let me say this. Y'all hit that like button as y'all come in. This sounds very paramount to, I don't know if you guys remember now. I'm going to age myself. Well, this is actually before my time, but Jimmy the Greek. If y'all remember, Jimmy the Greek made a statement about black and white athletes way back in the gap. And it's like when you're so direct, it comes off a little bit of too direct. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a little too direct. But most kids will tell you, most coaches will tell you that, dude, you got to kind of play to the archetypes, man. And so, and me and Will are going to share some of the experiences we had with some of our fellow teammates. And why this makes, to me personally, this makes perfect sense. Albeit very off-putting, it makes perfect sense. But let me try to find that Jimmy the Greek thing so we can kind of level set the conversation properly.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy the Greek. He got very much lambasted about this, but he was speaking honestly. And my whole thing is, man, listen, a lot of stuff gets said. From WR. A lot of stuff gets said that's very off-putting, but I just choose to understand. And I want truth. It's okay if it's something that may be it may incense my emotionality, but I just want to know the truth. I want to know how people really feel behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. Then I get a real scope of like what's really afoot with things that I observe in the sports realm. So I'm gonna play this quick thing from Jimmy the Greek. And what Coach Prime said, again, not parallel in the subject matter, but parallel in the sense that you're being brutally honest. So let's just again level set the conversation. This is Jimmy the Greek, what he said about black athletes that got him fired.
RCTV was asking questions about Martin Luther King's birthday and the progress blacks have made in society. There, CBS sports commentator Jimmy the Greek Snyder gave his impressions of blacks in coaching in the National Football League. His answers could raise as much controversy as the statements by former Dodgers executive Al Campanis last April on ABC's Nightline news program.
Yeah, pretty soon they're going to have to equalize it for the blacks. for the Greeks, the Jews, and for everybody. I mean, let's make it equal for everybody.
And is it equal? What about in sports?
Well, they've got everything. If they take over coaching like everybody wants them to, there's not going to be anything left for the white people. I mean, all the players are black. I mean, the only thing that the whites control is the coaching jobs. Now, I'm not being derogatory about it, but that's all that's left for them. So black talent is
Message.
beautiful. It's great. It's out there. The only thing left for the whites is a couple coaching jobs.
Maybe we need to get more black coaches.
Oh, it's all right with me. I'm sure that they'll take over that pretty soon, too.
WRC was apparently flooded with complaint calls.
Okay, so as we see, just a straight no chaser take from Jimmy the Greek. I want your unadulterated reaction to that, Will.
I mean, it's basically what a lot of folks think, man. As far as blacks getting the equal opportunities to be at the head or the helm or whatever you want to call it. And what Dion said, this is probably what 99.9999% of what coaches or how they thinking about recruits. They don't want to deal with external problems. They don't want to deal with kids who have a kind of a shady past, man. Because once you get those kids on campus, now you have to deal with those exact type of problems. And I said this in the stream that I did, I want to say like last Monday or last Tuesday or something like that. There was a story, I think Carmelo Anthony was telling the story about how David Stern basically approached him, kind of on the low, and basically told him, like, dude, we know everybody who you hang with. We know the type of guys you hang with. We know the type of things that they do outside of being your homeboys. And basically, like, either you're going to have to get rid of those dudes or you're going to be out the league. So people that is protecting a brand, they do their, what do you want to call it? They do their research. They want to know who you hang with, what type of upbringing that you had. So this is not something new. I think it was just more of a shock for somebody to hear Deion Sanders say it in that magnitude, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's why I juxtaposed it with the Jimmy the Greek comment, because some people, man, just don't know how bitter the real truth is. And I say this all the time, man. The professional sports is as we all know, college sports is an offshoot of professional sports. It just is.
Yeah.
We talk about all the time, the energy you put into playing Division I sports. It's professional. So it's hard when you lift a veil and you say exactly implicitly what this is, and implicitly what you're looking for. And it's going to land unfavorably. So I know, again, to hear Jimmy the Greek say what he said, I mean, this is back in the 70s he said this, right? So that's how people who, quote unquote, empower, that's how they think. So I'm always, on my platform, I'm going to tell you the truth, man, whether you like it or not. I know I lost a lot of, some people, the Jackson State stuff. I'm okay with it because I'm going to tell you what it is. You may not like it, but it is what it is. You may not like it, and that's okay. I'd rather you step back and be like, God damn, it may hit you a year later, man, who was right? Damn, who was right? And so what Prime did is just rip that Band-Aid off of the good story. And I heard some people say, oh, man, Coach Prime was raised by a single mother. How could he say that? Well,
I said that. I was one of those people that said that.
Listen, you can be raised in a whole bunch of stuff. That doesn't mean you have to always, subject yourself to it. Smart people learn from their circumstances. And you learn, you just learn human behavioral patterns. Yeah. And in my opinion, you start to see it. You've been a head coach for 3 years now, going to year 4. You start seeing, okay, hey, this kid tends to be like this. Hey, this kid tends to be like that. So what you tend to do with smart people, you start to optimize what you're doing. So you don't keep making the same mistakes thinking this kid's going to be an anomaly. You've seen enough iterations to be like, okay, all right. And then, you know what I'm saying? You start to know what character type, what background produces what kind of athlete. So going to his statement. So what he's saying that is more cerebral, positions like quarterback and what have you, O-line. You want kids who are a little smarter, kids who are more disciplined. You want kids who are going to go out there and be leaders on the field because, and I said this in a post I made, on regular Facebook, dual parent kids tend to understand and respect structure and order just a little more. They just do. And me and Will gonna go into how we know this anecdotally. But you want those guys who are the curators of your, the main positions. You want them to go out there and understand structure. You understand order and build. Now your nasty guys who are gonna go out there and they call me nasty. That's a funny install of me and Will.
Yeah.
Way long ago, it's the funniest thing.
Good Lord, that's funny.
But for your nasty guys, you want them to have that what you tend to see. Been a former coach, Will as well. Some of your single raised kids tend to have a lot more edge. They tend to have a lot more just dog or as it were, because they didn't get that nurturing in a balanced sense. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
And so those guys will sell out to you on hey man, go. I need you to go run through the wall. Go run through the wall. They'll do it because that's the energy that they emanated in growing up. So again, it's off-putting, but like Jimmy Greek, it's something that we all know. We just don't want to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I said this in my stream. Basically, when he said about having the quarterback and having the offensive lineman with the high GPAs, dual parent household, those two things basically correlate to each other. The quarterback and the offensive lineman have to be on the same page more than anybody on the field. They have to be as one, and especially at the center position. He's basically the quarterback for the whole, whole line. These dudes have to communicate. They have to be able to lead. They have to be able to recognize what's happening on the defense side of things. Offensive linemen are more of, reactors, in my opinion. Defensive guys are the guys who are dictating what's happening. The offensive line have to react to what the defense is doing. It's different in basketball, in my opinion. But I went a little further with this, saying that maybe Dion and all these other Power 5 schools, they got into the research of what they call now sports psychology. So you basically take it and you basically make a formula. This is how I broke it down. You make a formula and say, okay, we have such and such a kid from, whatever background he is, suburban background, he has a dual parent household, this and that. He's never been in trouble. And then you put that into seeing what success is from other guys of that type of scenario, and you get a formula. And it's basically broken down like that. So I think that's what Dion is doing, is say, okay, we've seen this before. We're going to, he said it in the video. I don't know if you have that video. They basically said they have a spreadsheet or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. And they put it into that, and that's how they go down with their recruits. And I'm assuming every Power 5 school does this. That's what I'm assuming. Not for sure, but it makes sense because of the world. Good Lord, laptop and Phil. But that's what they do, man, in my opinion, because you have to have this type of analytics is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah. Analytics. It's basically what they're using. Good Lord, damn laptop and Phil. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's uncomfortable truths, man. Listen, man. I know that the optics read horribly for a statement like that. I get it. Because a lot of our men can relate to being in a single parent household, usually with your mother. I understand this off-putting. But the reality is the reality. F man, F your feelings, man. Like, at the end of the day, a coach has a finite time to be at the helm at a coaching job. So you have to be able to optimize your evaluation process, evaluate the kids that you bring in, retain those kids, this, that, and the third. And when you start to aggregate those numbers, like you said, analytically, you start to see that, hey, this type of kid tends to be this type of commitment level, this type of problem level, this type of going to class level. Listen, if you want to keep your job, it would behoove you to stay ahead of that curve.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing about what a lot of folks don't understand. At the end of the day, Coach Prime has to keep his job. And I had an issue with what he said only because what if that child is out there and basically saying, man, I want to play for Coach Prime. I want to play. I'm going to do everything I can do, play for Coach Prime. But he's coming from a single, parent household. And it just, it cuts the feet off of those young men. And you have a very, very tricky job being a head coach. As Coach Prime has said on countless occasions, saying he wants to basically I want to say save kids, change lives. And
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, those are the type of kids who need their lives changed the most. That's coming from a poor upbringing or from a poor background or a single parent household. Those are the kids who need lives changing the most. But at the end of the day, he has to do what's best to keep his job. And very, very tricky, slippery slope of being a head coach. This is why I would never be a collegiate coach, because stuff like this comes up.
Well, I'm gonna say this. So what? You don't deserve shit. Like Division I, you're the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
You don't deserve nothing. You don't get nothing just because you're a good athlete. That's not how it works, bro.
Not
you
always.
walked on the Division I program. I walked on Division I program. You got a scholarship to Division I program. I got a scholarship to Division I program. It wasn't because we just deserved it.
Yeah.
You go out there and you get kicked in your ass, and you go out there and produce. You go out there or you present yourself as an athlete that the program wants, bro. Everybody doesn't get in. It's like Harvard.
Tough. It's tough.
Ivy League school, you don't just get in because of good intention and because you're a well-to-do person. No, there's standards.
You can do everything right and still end up on the short end of the stick, man.
Come on, your career only tells it.
We know that for certain. And I said that in my stream, man. I was a kid who wasn't recruited heavily because I didn't fit the mold of a.
You were the prototypical size.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I was a big guard. I was a heavier guard. Wasn't the fastest. Wasn't the quickest. Could outthink anybody on the court. This is why I did get the opportunity that I did get at Stephen F. Austin. But it's frustrating because I did everything right. We come from 2-parent households.
Mm-hmm.
We were made good grades in the top 25% of our graduating class. We was in honors and GT and all this other stuff. Did everything right and still got the short end of the stick. So it's
that's life.
It's tough, man.
But we had to come through the back door, and I don't hate my experience at all because it taught me to appreciate. Every time I got a yes with all them no's, I appreciated it. Yeah. And then once I was there, I didn't take it for granted. Now with SFA a little bit, but every opportunity I had, I didn't take it for granted because I know how hard it is to get in the door. So I mean, it is what it is, man. The coach has their system because let me give you guys some insight, the mind of a Division I coach or even lower. The worst way to get fired is doing something other than what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Meaning, if you're gonna get fired, do it your way because the biggest thing is to have regret. Like, man, I should have did that. I should have did that. No, if you're gonna get fired your way.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. I'm saying this is my way, and it is what it is. So again, bring it on back to Jimmy the Greek. It's an uncomfortable truth. So let me get some of these comments real quick. I see y'all cooking.
Yeah, they're going hard. Yeah.
Total Truth Todd Show says, I'm amazed how much Coach Prime has sold his soul since the Jackson State days. That's my problem with him. You can't serve two masters. Strange part, also don't get away with who you are. He was that child before stardom. And respectfully, I say, who gives a shit? It doesn't. Who cares if he came from a single parent household? That's like saying you came from the ghetto, you got to stay in the ghetto forever.
Man, get out of my head. I was just about to say that. Man. Get out of my head. We, as the black culture, man, we glorify being from the hood so much that we a lot of times can't even get away from it. Like I love the fact that I grew up in the hood, but it's not who I am, man. It's not who I wanted to be for the rest of my life, man. It's not, man. I'm just being honest, man. I'm just being honest. Man,
part of being in the hood, the experience is getting out of it, and you go and you reach and you teach, you can help whoever you get out of it because we know that's not a good position to be in.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the mentality of people who just want to always be, coalesced in that that spectrum of the world because the whole point is to get better than that. And that's why you laugh at clown ass rappers like Bow Wow, who you came up right in Ohio. Yeah. And you're trying to devolve into that. Chris Brown, you're trying to be a fruity Paru blood or whatever. You're trying to devolve back into that world.
This is why Ja Morant is getting the flack that he gets. Like,
exactly, bro. You ain't a gangster. Your real name is Clarence.
Yeah,
Clarence. No. A real good marriage.
No, it's crazy because you have the black kids who grew up in a suburbanized area but they want to prove themselves as they're basically like challenging that black card, right? Or your hood card, or whatever you want to call it. Those guys want to prove to them that they're, we're black just like y'all. But no, it's not the same, man. It's not, and then there's nothing wrong with that. You're still black at the end of the day, but you don't have to prove yourself as being tough, being a gangster, being hard all the time. Just like the old joke Cat Williams said, man, you gang banging on bacon, like you waking up in the morning. Like, no, it's okay to just be a regular dude. It is quite all right.
Man, Reg is all good, man. It's all good. And so, on this channel, I want to dispel these little tropes because you and me both, bro. We both from the hood. And we both experienced going to a hood high school. And let me get a few of these comments. I'm going to go into our next little segment of how we're going to say anecdotally why me and Will can speak on this subject matter. But Truth also says, streaks high and low, transport getting your type of players now translate into wins. My point is all this talking he's doing, it's hard to find. Better win because losing season just another coach. Yeah, I mean that's the reality of every coach in America. So I mean that's not exclusive to Coach Prime. So
and I would say this: he's been saying that since when he was at Jackson State. He ain't hard to find. He's been talking this crap since he's become a head coach. He's been saying he's got dogs coming. He's been saying, "Oh, we coming." Oh, he's been saying we want guys who are fast, disciplined, smart, and all of that stuff. So he hasn't changed up his talk.
No,
he hasn't changed it.
He needs to make his kids, and I can speak to this again anecdotally, making football players sit in the front row, make them dress a certain way because football players are a little sloppy with it, man. It is what it is. We all know that. You know what I'm saying? They come with the flip flops and they smell like practice sometimes. Not all the players, but especially the big nasties. I mean, it is what it is. And so Prime, he's already been doing this. It's just on a bigger scale now. So I mean, it's whatever. King Lowe says, Los Angeles says he said he prefers quarterback come from a two-parent household, very transparent. Absolutely. Thunder, shout out to Thunder, man. Long time subscriber to the channel. It says kids with two parents tend to understand hierarchy and structure. Bingo. Yeah. Bingo. And you can, guys, listen, man. I came from a two-parent household. Will did as well. My parents divorced in 6th grade, but my dad was always like there. He was always been my coach. So I guess you can call it a de facto two-parent household.
You still had a dual-parent household still.
Yeah, I still understood structure and order. I never was the guy to buck, the system and what's going on. Like I understood that, hey, listen, authority figure talking, you listen. Yeah. I've always understood that. And we've had teammates, and we're gonna get into that. Let me get these comments. We're gonna talk about how we saw Coach Prime's his synopsis is more right than wrong. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it just is. King Los Angeles also says he wants his DBs coming from single parent household because they're hungrier. I think he said DNs, but yeah, I get your point. Art says, man, you cannot take everything that Coach Prime say to heart. He only uses analogies for people to get a true version of what he wants. He don't care what kid background is from for real. Maybe it may be a little bit of a smoke screen going on, but I don't think so. I think Coach Prime is very transparent because he was one person say about HBCUs and the mismanagement of funds. He was saying you may not like it, but you can't tell me I'm wrong. This is pretty much on brand with Coach Prime. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And again, this is not. How can I put this? This is not a downplay on a kid who comes from a single parent household.
No, it's not. It's just real talk.
It's not. It's unfortunate that it happens a lot, and then from what we know as being black men, we know this is a lot in our culture. Now, as in the white culture, we don't know as much, man, because I don't pay attention to it as much. I didn't grow up in the white culture. So, but speaking from experience, man, we've seen kids who come from these type of homes, and it's just the chaos that are around. And then you'll find those kids I think we're going to get into it. One of our friends, like he basically attached himself to all of us because most of us did come from a two-parent household, and he had to learn our ways instead of him being an influence on us. Like we didn't want to be in the streets or anything like that. We wanted to be good kids. We wanted to go to class. Like he was a kid that really didn't care about getting to class before he started hanging out with us. Like he was okay with just being at home. We had another dude who's like that who we just saw on this film not too long ago, but we're not going to speak on that. But you can see the difference in the kids that came from structure and the kids who came from chaos. It was night and day, man. And we were able to influence him in a totally open his eyes to a lot of things, man. Open his eyes to a lot of things. So that's why I said I felt kind of upset because Coach Prime is basically cutting the legs off from certain kids. But as you said, everybody doesn't get that chance. So I do understand it.
Being a Division I athlete is special. I don't feel shit for him. Like I don't, because he's saying what people say behind closed doors. Again, going back to the Jimmy the Greek thing. Yeah. Jimmy the Greek said what most white people, how they evaluate the landscape of black and white athletes. So I'd rather you tell me straight up so I know. I'd rather know. I don't want to guess. So, I mean, I've coached Division I level, so I know coaches say this already. So it's just good to have Coach Prime say it, so it just kind of encapsulates what I've already known to be so. So when I see this and people react to it, I'm like, dog, get out of this fairy tale land that everything is just about how good a kid is and that you deserve something. You don't deserve anything. When you go to the NFL Combine, they ask you personal questions about your life because they want to know, are you a person who's going to be flighty? Are you going to be a person who's off the hinges? Are you going to be a person that we got to have a personal advisor to? Or are you a person who's going to lead this program going forward? This is just normal stuff, y'all. It's real life.
And it happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, bro. Go ahead.
I just saw, matter of fact, I just saw the story about, what's the damn dude name? Travis Kelce. I just saw the story about him. He was at the University of Louisville. He was a quarterback. Did not know he was a quarterback.
Me neither.
Quarterback. Did not know he was a quarterback. And he did something and he ended up getting kicked off. Oh, he was smoking weed. And the coach, the new coach that came in, kicked him off the team. And his brother was on the same team. And his brother basically told the coach, like, hey, man, give him another chance, all these other things. And the coach basically laid down the law for him. You can't miss a class. You have to obtain a 3-point such and such GPA, and then you can come back and try. And basically, the rest is history. And then when he got drafted, which Andy Reid drafted his brother when he was at Philadelphia, ended up drafting him for Kansas City. Andy Reid was on the phone, was basically like, hey, are you going to F this up? And he had to make a decision, man. So this story happens way, way, way more how folks think and require you to be such a good, good student, man. We had kids at Stephen F. Austin where they basically had to do was go to class, go to practice, and go back to the dorm. They couldn't do anything else because if they veered from the regular schedule, they were going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. You have some guys who are groomed, like your roommate or your teammate is specifically given to you because you're a more strong type of person. Yeah. It happened to me. My college roommate, he I ain't gonna say his name, but man, he loved being around people. He loved ganja. He loved all of it. And they put him with me to make sure he didn't get in trouble. Now I couldn't always watch him, but for the most part, that was my job, was to make sure that he wasn't getting in trouble. This is how college coaches think, man. It's a business. It's a business investment when you're dealing with these 18 to 22-year-old kids.
Sports is entertainment based, guys. It's dollars and cents. It's bottom line driven. I know we like the hero stories of kids coming from nothing, and that's not the fundamental building blocks of what this is. And that's why I say when they say student athletes, I laugh at that term because it's a made up term. It's literally a job, and that's why I like Brian's comment to be a Division I athlete, especially at FBS level. You have to make the type of sacrifice that'll make you a very lonely person. Spot on, bingo. Nah. Because I say this all the time, man. Because again, the term student athlete, they love to throw that out there as a trope or whatever, right? Miss practice for class. Tell me how that work out for you.
Oh man, this is exactly why coaches schedule practice and they schedule your classes. Like you don't really go to your academic advisor as a athlete. Your assistant coaches basically schedule everything that you need to get done. They kind of talk to your academic advisor, but your assistant coaches are the ones who are scheduling your classes, making sure you're taking a certain type of class just so you won't fall below the GPA, all types of stuff, man. It's a very intricate system. If folks don't really understand, very intricate system.
It's a very intricate system. It's a very unfair system. So all this fair talk, bro, that shit misses me like 10 miles. Because I mean, you laughing, but I remember
I know.
being a Division I athlete. You are asked to do while you're watching all your peers have the time of their life, going out to Greeks, going out to the parties. You got all these things around you. You be like, man, I gotta go to practice. Man, I gotta go study. It's a very hard world to be in. And so what I'm conveying on this stream is like it's a privilege. So a coach in this world, they have the right to dictate their program because here's the inverse of this. If you don't, you're gonna have kids running amok in your program, and you have no what they call it institutional lack of institutional control. So that's the inverse of all this. So I'm not trying to hear it. So people, they don't like the optics. I get it. The optics, it reads a little harsh. I get it. But when we're talking about from the brass tacks of what this is, the meat and potatoes of it, this is how you run a program. You have to set expectation properly. And you have to, right, wrong, or indifferent, your system is your system. Period. Yeah. All right. So we get a few more comments. I see y'all going hard. King Los Angeles says, doesn't mean there isn't expectation of every program that fits that mold. It just means it's part of the search criteria. Absolutely. You have to whittle people down. You have to have a process. You can't just go recruiting guys because they're, oh, he's a 4-star. Oh, he's a 3-star. Oh, here this. You got to be a scheme fit. It got to be a personality fit. It got to be a locker room fit. It got to be a buy-in fit. Because what happens? You bring a guy in who's off the hinges. What he does, he just hits the transfer portal. You waste your time.
Waste the scholarship. Right?
Come on, man. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. Let's see. Don't his son kind of fall in that category of being single-parent household since Dion not married their mother anymore? But I think Tracy Edmonds has been in the house. So
and this is why I said this is why, even because somebody corrected me on it, and I was going that route of the single parent or a broken home. And then basically once you say dual parent, and it's not even a household, he said dual parent. And dual parent means you can have a father and a mother not living together, but they're still their parenting, their co-parenting is what the word folks use today. Their co-parenting is still very, very good. And I think this is where he was going with this.
Okay, so total say last stereotype players ain't too smart. Okay. I never heard athletes from traditional house are better than single parent household. That's a mindless segregated coach. I'm calling bullshit. No. Bro. Anecdotally, in the Division I scape, for me coaching and playing, the easiest kids to maintain the program had 2 parents active. It's not even close. Yeah. The ones who, man, I literally had teammates who stole a coach car before.
Out of line.
Stole a coach car, bro. And this kid was a cousin of Kenny Smith, so he was a big time recruit. Coming to Prairie View. I'll leave his name out the stream. Stole a coach car, bro, and just joyrided in a car. Right? Can you guess his upbringing? Another kid just up and just punched the other teammate in the mouth, and the other teammate was like the softest Bambi. The kid was 6'9", but he was like 6'9", 180. Just kid was a Bambi dog. And dude just socked him in the mouth for the smallest modicum of disrespect. And this kid was like SWAC player of the year. Mm-hmm. It's just like from unhinged households, you get unhinged results. Just saying, bro. So I'm not speaking. I don't care if y'all take it how y'all take it. I'm just saying what I know. Rap guy says black folks love to glorify gang violence, drunkenness. Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna go that far to say it's gang stuff. But what I am saying is, it's just, again, we don't respect structure and order. It's hard to maintain a program. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And this is why you'll either see the coach get fired or you see the coaches overhauling the whole program. Like you got to get in what one of my mentor coaches used to say, and I try not to use this word anymore. He's like, man, you gotta get these cancers out. You got to get these cancers out because one person can ruin a whole entire program. One person, man. I'm telling you, I've seen it, man. I've seen it countless of times.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to our anecdotal, but y'all going so hard in comments. I want y'all comments to be highlighted. And hey, if you like what's going on, y'all get that super chat too. I'm gonna get to you first, just saying. So we'll get to that. So Mario says, my dad was a product of a single mother from the projects. My dad went to be a 3-time All-American at PV, played for the Chiefs. And salute to your father, man. But that's the exception, though. Your dad was very exceptional. We're talking about the rank and file. Excuse me, the rank and file kid coming through your program. The rank and file kid is not going to go to the NFL play for the Chiefs. The rank and file kid is going to go and play professional for the Houston Police Department. They're going to play professional for the Houston Independent School District as a teacher. Yeah. So, as exceptional as your father was, that's definitely not the standard.
Yeah, he was an anomaly, man.
He's definitely much an anomaly. Absolutely. Total also says, my point is whether statistics of better athletes from traditional households. Seriously, I've never seen or heard that. Well, we're not. Me, Coach Prime, Will, we're not accountable for your lack of knowledge, man. Again, we've been in the trenches. So what the percentages are, I don't know. But what I do know is from being a coach and being a player, you saw the difference between a 2-parent household kid and a single-parent household kid. It was a strict, easily determinable difference. And you know what? I'm gonna get a few more comments because I want to go to our story because our story is just it's apropos of what we're speaking about. It just really is. I'm gonna pause these comments real quick. The Sims now make up the majority of the world. We take our personal experience. There you go, bingo. Shout out to Zen, man, my guy. Y'all subscribe to his channel, man. It says Coach Prime stepped on his dick.
Yeah, he's been going off. He's been going off in the comments.
I don't think so, man. I think the comments gonna age well. I think it's not on inception. It's gonna land unfavorably, but with time, people going. You know what's funny, man? On my channel, I try to make statements that I know that work, and it may be a little abrasive on the front end, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Over time, you can't say that hoop jargon don't know what he's talking about. It may hit you late. You like, damn, Hoop was right, and I got FYF, I got to call you out. Me and Will was on that channel when Russell Westbrook came to the Lakers. No way, no how. There's no way it's gonna work. And shout out to Lamont. Lamont was like, great players figured out. I was like, no, the hell they don't. With the parts, that's what we said. Am I lying, Will?
We're not, man. We've been right on the money the whole time. As soon as that trade happened,
it's a train wreck. So I mean, listen, man. And I know a lot of people didn't agree with me at the time. Now he got bought out, traded and bought out. And now they the same thing running back with the Clippers. I mean, good luck to Russell Westbrook. But listen, man, the tea leaves read how they read. It could be an unpopular opinion. Don't make it wrong. It's just you don't like it on inception. And I mean, that's a you problem.
And I guarantee, but they're not going to do it. But if a reporter went out there and asked Nick Saban this, if a reporter, they didn't even ask him, but if they can come up with this question, if they can ask, what's his name, Dabo Swinney, and they're thinking the same way, man. It's just it's not right to think like that, but I understand because they have a job to do, man. You want to protect your job at the end of the day. Yes, it's about getting helping young men. You get into coaching to help young men and young women, get to places they never wanted to be. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, majority of time in life, you're going to pick yourself over anybody. You're going to protect yourself over anybody. You and your family is the most important. So these coaches want to keep their job, man.
Absolutely.
They want to keep their job. It sucks to think like that. But I understand it. And I come to that knowledge by watching, I just got started watching The Walking Dead. And you see all these scenarios where folks are just like out there just going. Instead of everybody coming together, you see a lot of folks out in that show is basically like, man, F everybody. I'm going to kill, steal, rob. Just pure chaos.
Chaos, yeah. I mean, I get it, man. And Zen and Cat I respect a lot, but we definitely on opposite sides of the room on this, and that's okay. It's just a horrible proclamation. The boys have no control of their parents. Just fair enough, but your lack of control of your parent situation has nothing to do with my program. So it's just it's an unfortunate truth. Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate truth. And if I deem that at this position that I want this type of kid, yeah, it's messed up. But that's life, bro. That's life. You're not entitled to anything. Just saying, bro. And Zen also says that means we never drafted LeBron James. Well, we talking about football and basketball now. In basketball, you have a lot of single parent driven talent out there. So I'm sure you evaluate differently. Now, are you a generational talent? That trumps all other metrics.
Yeah.
LeBron James, generational talent. So I mean, listen, and he had reason because if you know Gloria James' story, just saying, she was having that dude a mental wreck, man. That dude was missed a lot of school in high school. He was out there doing crazy stuff, breaking people's houses and stuff.
Yeah, she was ill, man.
Gloria James was ill, bro. So I'm not mad at a coach who's like, yeah, I don't want to be involved with a guy with a mother like that. And we saw her going and effing, his teammate, right?
Yeah.
She was doing some wild stuff, so much so that LeBron James was like, sit your ass down.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I would never imagine talking
to this day. To this day.
I couldn't imagine having to talk to my mother that way, right? So I understand what you're saying, Zen, but at the same time, it's up to the coach to decide. Do you swing and miss sometimes? Yeah. But I would just think in a position, in a sport where you got 5 guys on the court and talent can supersede that, you still go with LeBron James.
Yeah.
If you have talent, maybe I rethink it, but LeBron James is LeBron James.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. For folks who don't understand, again, we're giving our side to this because you worked at a Division I. I could work at a Division I. We know countless amounts of coaches at the Division I level, D2 level. I can go through my phone right now and call most of them. They'll either call me right back or they'll call me in the next day. And I tell parents this all the time. You are being recruited as well.
Absolutely.
Coaches don't want to deal with a parent who is causing issues with the high school coach, the AAU coach, the referees, showing up to the game being more of a show than your player or your son or your daughter. They don't want to deal with that because you don't come to that program trying to run their program. And college coaches have to run it how they want to run it. They're not going to recruit your kid if you have been problematic and you're causing issues on a consistent basis, man. They got a book. They come to the game. Well, they might use their phone now. They got a list of recruits that they're looking at.
Absolutely.
And you might not even know they're in the gym. I'm speaking from an AAU term. You might not even know they're in the gym. They just sitting back by the wall and they just looking. Okay, that's such and such mama right there acting the fool. Nope, we're gonna go ahead and cancel it off. I'm gonna go to the next court. I got this kid. Oh, this kid playing on court 3. Okay, let me go over there real quick. It's just that boom. It's like that. It's
done.
Over with.
An example. So I'm gonna keep her name out of this. One of your kids you had in your program about 10 years ago, 8. Man, my girl Toyelle, when she was coaching at Baylor at the time, I sent her to go watch her play. Yeah. The old girl got put on the bench for whatever reason.
She showed up late. She showed up late.
And I remember Toyelle texting me like, yo, is your girl playing? I was like, I don't know. And I texted you. I was like, oh. So she blew an opportunity that she did not even know that Baylor was there to watch her play. We talking about prime Baylor, right? Brittany Griner Baylor era. Yep. She blew it because she wasn't starting.
Yep. She showed up late. You showed up
late and you blew your time. And shout out to SKC, a new member.
You got a new member. Yeah.
Shout out to my guy, man. Shout out to my guy, SKC. So I'm getting my bag real quick. Let me get my bag. Because I think these conversations are very important because it's easy to go on the internet and say anything. But when you get context, you understand. And my channel, my platform is built on just understand. But anyway, customize your overlay, blah, 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 blah. Damn, I can't do the overlay. I got to StreamYard is hurling me right now. All right. Out again to my guy, SKC says, Coach Prime. Let me see if I can at least get to the video. The overlay won't let me do it. Man, we were just talking about that food show.
Yeah.
I switched. So for the listening audience, I changed my credit card because I got some fraud on it, and I didn't change it on StreamYard. So that's why I got that little duck on top.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get that back right. But let's see.
Who is Swag, baby?
There we go. We get Coach Prime in there with the Who is Swag. And appreciate you, SKC, becoming a member and dropping 10 on it. Much appreciated, my brother. But again, man, these conversations are necessary, dog, because I want people to understand how these intricate conversations go between the lines because it ain't all about fair.
Between the game.
We say?
Say between the game.
There you go. Famous plug. And super chat, man. Y'all going hard. I'm trying to keep up with them, but you know, super chats get priority. But I'm trying, man. I appreciate y'all going so hard in chat. Y'all hit that like button too. Let's make sure and subscribe if you're new. Because again, I'm opening the panel up because I want y'all to speak on it. If y'all don't agree, that's fine. So it is what it is. So you know what? Let me do all this. Let's talk about our anecdotal situation about high school. So me and Will went to Eisenhower High School. If y'all know about Houston, that's in the hood. That's in Acres Homes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a senior laden team. We had 5 guys go Division I basketball. Should have been 6. Our best player didn't go D1 because of his grades. We had a true coolie high situation for the most. We had a true coolie high situation. So talk a little bit, Will, about the discrepancy we saw from dual parent kids and the single parent kids on our team.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier. Still, man, he's still one of our best friends. We got a couple of other guys. But you know, our best player, his household was very chaotic, man. It didn't sit right. He never wanted to go home. I want to say never. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if he never wanted to go home, but he was never at home. He was either always with, you know, our other good friend, or he was with us just hanging out. There are a lot of times he would just, you know, come to school hungry. There are a lot of times where it's like, man, have y'all seen such a day? Oh no, man, let's go find him. Making sure that he was there. Like we had to make sure he was there. But he saw what it was like to have friends with you know, 2-parent household or dual parent household, whatever you want to call it. But he saw what it's like, and he enjoyed being around that. And with that, if I say if he would have played with us freshman year instead of playing JV his freshman year, I think he would have figured it out a little earlier. Like, man, I got to take care of my grades. And like, as you said, the grades was the biggest thing that kept him from being where he wanted to be. But he didn't play with us freshman year. He played JV as a freshman. We all played.
He was that good. Come off rip.
Yeah, off the rip. And you know, he fit the mold of a basketball guy. But if he would have been with us his freshman year, he probably would have understood what it was like to take care of your grades. And by the time 11th grade came around, 12th grade came around, now he's like, oh man, I'm trying to figure it out. It was a little bit too late. A little bit too late. And then we had another friend I spoke about. He would literally, I used to ride with him to school. Didn't know this until after a while, but I used to have to go knock on his door, on his window in the backyard, just to wake him up to go to school. He's like, man, I just got in the house. I'm like, dude, where were you? It's Tuesday night. Where were you the night before? And he was like, man, I was out and about. I was in the street. I'm like, dude, your mom didn't know you was going. No, man, she gave me the keys. I'm like, dude, what?
16.
You're 16, 17 years old. But what I found out was because my mama didn't play that, and I knew I had to get to school. I never missed a day of school in my life. So he would take me to school just because he knew my mama didn't play that. But he would drop me off at school and literally go back to the house and go to sleep and then wouldn't show up until lunchtime. I'm like, bro, like, that was insane thinking to me. Like, I would never like that. You know what? I'm gonna go to school, drop somebody off, then go back to the house and chill.
Yeah.
His mom was okay with that, and it showed in the way he finished his high school career, because he was growing up. He was a little bit better than us because he was left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that kind of caught up with him, and you know, skill-wise and mentality-wise. But his mentality was like, dude, I don't really care about school. Or he went to school just to talk to girls. Like it was just very, very chaotic, man, for those two dudes. And it kind of could have turned out a little differently for them. But my mom,
and both of them are doing well right now. You know, it's just it wasn't the cards to play high-level college basketball per se. One of which was in the movie. I just me and my girl just watched it before we fired the stream up.
That's funny, dude.
It's that movie or whatever.
That's funny.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, kids were living lives that we couldn't even fathom as kids who just understood structure and order. We're like, okay, coach say practice this time, coach is practice this time. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
It's what he said, and that's it. And the other cat, you said, with the grade problems, me and him played junior college together after, high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, you can still see it's like, dog, bro, like, what's up with this writing assignment you got, bro? Like you're supposed to be on top of this. Like,
Yeah.
watching the work, I'm like, what the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a distinct difference. It just is. And those are just two examples. So let's talk about some of the kids who did have the two-parent households, like myself, Jared, Ron, Shaston. Who else was a two-parent guy? Dante. They didn't have to worry about us like doing, because we went to a hood high school. We literally went to a hood. So again, if y'all know the landscape in Houston, Eisenhower High School is a hood high school. We didn't do none of that extracurricular stuff because we held each. You know what's funny, man? Our coach, he never appreciated where we were. We went to the game before the state tournament. We used to self-police our team just because we had a standard that came from our parents, and we wanted everybody, even the hood kids. Well, I mean, we all hood kids, but the ones who were a little unhinged, like, nah, bro, this is the standard here, man.
Yeah.
You take that shit to the cafeteria.
Exactly, dog.
We wasn't no fighting kind of dudes. We didn't bully nobody. It wasn't no strong arming. It just was like, nah, bro. We made you feel very uncomfortable if you weren't conforming to our system.
Yeah.
We put it that way.
And when we was at Eisenhower, that was the time when Slim Thug was blowing up. Hollywood Click, for folks who understand Houston back in that era, like Hollywood Click, they all attended our school at the time, but we just didn't want any part of that. And even them dudes knew that was type of that stuff. And that's the basketball team. We they cool. We ain't gonna mess with them, especially with the sophomores. The football team ran our high school at that time, so they couldn't mess with us if they wanted to. But we just wasn't a part of that. We wanted to play basketball, hang out with our boys, and that was it. And as you said that about our high school coach not appreciating us, and then I'll transfer it over into the next segment of this about how Dion wants structure and wants guys in discipline and stuff. Our high school coach did not like us, even though we was those type of guys. And he basically said, I can't wait till I get to such and such, the 03 and the 04 class. He could a couple of classes behind us. And literally, as soon as we graduated, everything for him changed. Kids wasn't showing up to practice. Saturday practice, dudes wasn't showing up. They wasn't showing up on time. You had kids were showing up to the game with McDonald's in their hands. And those kids were single parent type kids. They didn't come from structure. They came from chaos. They didn't understand discipline. And he was basically, he never had a successful season after we graduated. Never had a successful season after we graduated. So the correlation is there. So when we're saying we understand what Coach Prime is saying, we've seen it. We've seen it at a young age. We've seen it.
That was our life. Like our life was that. So it's. I say it unabashedly, man. Like, because I know what works, and I know the archetype of the kids you want for the position. And again, it's off-putting. I totally understand that. I totally understand that. Is it wrong? Is it wrong? And that's just the brass tacks of it. Just Dion, he doesn't care about people's opinions. He says it how he says it. Like he always says, don't let my confidence offend you. That's just how he is. So everything he does is on brand for the most part for me, from what I see. So it doesn't shock me anything he says. Total also says he made a fool of himself with that who is swag. Why probably at the time he was talking to CU. Weeks later he left. I don't fault the man for leaving. More money, but don't say God directly. Well, so that's
how do we know? How do we know?
Well, okay. So what you say is a double-edged sword. Now, what I would have done if I was him to bring God into it, because it's very. You're taking another level of buy-in that if you change your mind, that's a hard left turn to turn from. So I'm with you on that, Total. I wouldn't have gone that way because that's a very hard subject to prove. But on the same length, who are you to tell him that God ain't telling him to switch then?
Yeah.
So I understand the sentiment. It reads poorly. So I'm not going to dismiss your point. I just also know that that's just not a good way to go because it's very hard to prove. And people are going to feel a type of way, man. We talking about the Most High, man. It's a lot of vague obscurity in that mode. And I personally wouldn't have went that way. But you said he played himself with the who is swag. I guess so. I mean, he left, so you know that wasn't a good thing. So I agree.
Yeah, and just like we've been saying, man, like how long? What we've been saying? Oh, how long did God tell him to be at Jackson State? We've been saying that since he left, right? Did God tell him to be at Jackson State for 20 years, or did he tell him to be there for 3 years? Just like you said, like how do we know that God didn't tell him to go to Colorado? So you can't go that route, especially with Deep South, because folks feel, we know black folks in the South, how they feel about God and Jesus and stuff like that. So that's a very, very, and that's why a lot of folks is like, oh, I can't believe he did this. It's like he's betraying God. Folks in Deep South, man, you can't give them that and then be like,
Yeah,
okay, well, I'm gone. Like this is, but man, we've seen preachers do this. We've seen all types of folks. We've seen politicians do this. We've seen folks say, man, well, God said this, I'm gonna build my land here, this and that. Then they go take it somewhere.
I grew up in a prosperity church. I know that.
yeah, I know. I've been to churches here a couple of times when I was younger, and that was always interesting.
That's for facts. Shout out to Pastor Hilligan in Houston. New Light. I came up in that church. Yes, I know that for a fact.
Oh my God.
All right. Older God says, I agree with what Prime is saying, but what are the kids to do the right thing and want to play for him do? It's not their fault. Their parents. Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to my premise earlier. You're not entitled to anything.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
It's like going to a job interview and they give you that assessment of your character, and you can have all, you went to the right school, you went to the right grooming, but they did a personality assessment. Nope. Next.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Reality.
Life sucks, man. Life sucks.
It's reality.
I wouldn't even say life sucks as I've gotten. Life is life because you're born. Every day that you wake up, you have life. It's the living part of life. It's the paying bills. It's being a good person. It's trying to, start a family and the living part of life. That sucks, man. And it's not always right. I look back sometimes, like I get mad, man, because I know somebody like almost 2 out of 5 times that he goes and buys a scratch-off ticket, he wins $100 or $200. And I'm like, dude, I go buy a scratch-off every now and then, man. I get nothing. And I'm just like, dang, man, like, come on, give me something. But I understand, man. Everything doesn't always work out for everybody. Everybody's plan doesn't go the right way, man. In the 19th grade, I just knew I was going to the NBA. I just knew I was going to the NBA until I saw a dude by the name of Carmelo Anthony. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that dream is out the window.
I think Carmelo level set a lot of us in that tournament. You're like, all right, man. I might sneak the NBA, man. I ain't going to it.
We all have plans, man. We all have dreams, and sometimes those dreams just don't come true. So I get it. I get both sides of the thing. I want kids who want to go play for Coach Prime to go play for him, but I do understand that not every kid is going to be able to do that. So.
I mean, listen, man. Life ain't fair, man. Life ain't fair. So I understand the sentiment. But at the same time, you're not entitled to anything. You don't deserve anything. You get what you get, and be happy for it. And in this new climate, kids can up and leave, which I have no problem with. I love the transfer portal for kids. If it's the wrong fit, move around. But I'm also an advocate for coaches starting to understand the mobility of that transfer portal. So you're trying to get ahead of it a little bit and bring in kids who don't like. I'm good with that too. It's a check and balance with everything in life. I'm good with that.
And I wonder how does that affect. Because when we were in school, I forgot what it was called in college. But if you lost a kid or anything like that, it affected like your ability to get scholarships or keep scholarships. I wonder how
the API score.
Yeah, I wonder how the transfer portal affects that.
That's a good question. I need to get updated on that too. Yeah, because you lose too many kids and you're not graduating them. That does affect your API score, and that can potentially take scholarships away from you. So yeah, that's something you all have to be cognizant as a coach. So I'm cool with coaches playing offense in that sense of knowing what kind of kids tend to stay, what kind of kids tend to yield certain results. Because, I mean, I'm in sales. Something we say all the time is buyers are liars, and by that I mean kids are liars. They come say, "Oh, coach, I love you, man. I want to play for you," but then one little thing changed, they on to the next thing. Which I don't begrudge a kid. Listen, man, take advantage of the rules that are set.
Yeah, y'all don't know how many kids, like there are so many kids who are recruited as a freshman who don't finish up at the school that they started at. And this has been going on before the transfer portal. You very rarely had a program, especially at the high D1 level, Power 5 schools, who you have kids who start at that school and finish at that school. The dude named Taylor Arthur at Stephen F. Austin, Coach Casper had been there 6 years. And I think he was the first kid to graduate all 4 years, being there from his freshman year to his senior year. So it's very, very rare.
Yeah. He was a junior when I was he was a sophomore when I was a freshman at SFA. Yeah.
So he was the first one. And at that time, he was the first one.
Yeah, man.
Just think about how many kids came through that program since then.
It's rough, dog. Like it's rough with that thing. I think people only see it one way, and how could you not? Because you don't know the intricacies of the coaching world. You just see it from one level, from the player standpoint. And fair enough, I've done both, and so I just try to provide perspective on both of those lines of thinking. Landa Heartless 216 says, I just watched the interview. Coach Prime said he wanted nuclear family raised quarterbacks. Hey, listen, I'm not. So I mean, here's the thing. I can't say I would mirror him, but I would definitely, for the most part, take into consideration that line of thinking, because we just laid out from anecdotal experience. We see that dual parent household kids they're just a little different as far as buying in, as far as listening to rules. Man, because I don't think y'all know how bad it can get with some kids in college, man. Like some of them, you have to really watch them. You have to watch them like they're goddamn middle schooler. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Crazy. So if you were to eliminate those kind of things, you start to see like trends of certain kids. And because I mean, I'm gonna keep it a bean with y'all. The last thing a coach want to do is worry about what the hell this player doing at 10 o'clock at night. You got to go, and that takes away from your family life. That takes away from your work continuity. So you got to go and check up on this kid, right? Or ask other kids to check after him. You don't want to do all that. You want to coach. You want to recruit. You want to scout. Yeah, that's extra stuff you don't get paid for. So if you can eliminate that by looking at probability, I'm all for that. Zen says Dion's ego is kind of crazy. I agree. He's an egomaniac.
It's been crazy. Yeah, it's been crazy.
Really, he's crazy like a fox. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, man. Y'all go sub to my guy, man. Flight had a great interview with LeVar Ball the other day, man. So y'all go check him out. He had me on the panel, so I got to talk to LeVar Ball again. So that was pretty dope. Total says, don't the Bible says it's easier for a poor man to enter heaven versus a rich man into heaven? Again, he took the money. It's a business for him. Now he's silenced with the God talk. Why? Well, as a non-religious person like myself, what you see is a lot of religious people, everybody picks and chooses what they like. Let's be for real now. Everybody picks and chooses what they like, because I'm going to go there, but I ain't going to go there. Some people with certain lifestyle decisions, they're religious. And when the Bible says implicitly this abomination. So we clearly can see that some people just, you take the part you like, make it to your own, and you write your own narrative. So, I feel what you're saying, but, I see that area being blurred a lot. In whatever way, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. I mean, I get why somebody could deviate from godliness, because they make it into their own narrative. So Zen says, I would GPA be a better predictor. I think it's both, actually, Zen. It's both. My question is, Dion largely wrong. Hey, you get no argument from your boy.
This is how college coaches think, man. This is how college coaches think. It's a harsh reality, man. It's a harsh reality. But again, so Dion is not only looking out for himself, he has a coaching staff to look for as well. So, and then, assistant coaches get fired too, because like in the college basketball ranks, you have a certain kid that you bring in, and then that's your kid. Like that assistant coach, if he brings in 3 recruits, those are his responsibilities. And so they are under his wing for the most part. And I say this all the time, man. The head coach is just the end game of the thing, man. But for the most part, most of your time is spent with your assistant coaches in college.
Absolutely.
It's not the head coach, man. You see the head coach at practice. He might pop in on study hall. He doesn't go do room checks. He doesn't go do go see if you're in class. So assistant coaches have is a lot on the line for them as well. So these dudes want to make sure they're getting the right kids in the program, man, that can make sure that they're keeping their job and keeping them moving up in the ranks. Those dudes might want to be head coaches one day. So this college sports world is like we said, it's very intricate. It's very crazy. It's unfortunate how it is set up, but it is what it is, man. And it's like this in a lot of business too, man. You don't want to bring in like teaching in the teaching world, man. When you both were in education, you don't want to bring in a teacher who's kind of shaky, doesn't understand the background, this and that, because that teacher will end up leaving. And as a principal, you want to retain teachers as much as possible because
you got better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is why the school that I was at, they used to bring these Caucasian women to this inner city school.
They quit.
And these teachers be gone. They'll be gone. They just didn't understand it, man. They couldn't handle it. So man, this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in, man. It is what it is, man.
That's real talk, man. And again, these are hard truths that they're better left unsaid to a lot of people. It's like you can understand that they take place, but you don't want to hear it. Deion Sanders is kind of just put in your face kind of guys, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. All right, so we're about to wind the stream down. So thank y'all so much for the conversation going on. You guys kept it real. Again, you don't have to agree with everything we say.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfectly fine. Like I'm just gonna explain my thesis from my applied knowledge, my research knowledge, and give it to you. Nico says dual parent household children are superior on average because they're supposed to be. Whether they don't live together, you still have access to better. Yeah, I mean, dual parent household kids run circles around single parent household kids by the numbers.
This is what you want, man. You want that, man. This is what you want to be. If you're a kid, you want to be from you know what? I go back to the classes that graduated after us, and they'll see us a couple of years later or the year after us, and the one kid that was a junior on the team when we were seniors, I remember him coming to me after we came back to watch a game. He was like, man, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be easy being in the front, being the main guy, this and that. He was like, man, I really miss y'all because y'all kept everything under control. Y'all kept everything structured. Y'all held the standard together. Like we had a token slogan. It was like our coach came up with it, expect to win. And our school was a football school. It wasn't a basketball school.
Yep.
And the years that we were on varsity, we completely changed that around. We had attendance at our high school has never been higher since then. And before that, it was only high when we had a dude by the name of Bobby Crawford that played for the University of Michigan. He was All-American. But other than that, our gym was never sold out for basketball games. But our senior year, every home game, standing room only.
Absolutely.
Standing room only. I mean, just stupid. And the guys after us, the 03 and the 04 classes, they didn't understand, like, oh, we made it look easy. But because we made it look easy because we had an expectation from our parents and for ourselves. Them dudes didn't really understand it. All they knew was chaos and, we're going to go out here and hoop, this and that. Now, hooping ain't just going to hoop. Just going to hoop ain't going to get you dubs, man. Just going to hoop ain't going to get you dubs. So what Nico just said right there, for the most part, they were better athletes than us, but they weren't a better team. And so we were more structured. And as you said, like typically dual parent household kids have a better chance of being successful. And that's what we were.
I mean, because we see it the world over. And it's funny in our community, we kind of disavow that because the reality is we have a lot of fractured, household situations. And so naturally we try to justify it. But reality says the numbers say that's not the best way to produce a kid. It's just not. As far as emotional intelligence, as far as balance, as far as having two parents be able to come in as a resource to help build up the kid, it's just a better process. It just is. So I unapologetically, unabashedly say that he's on these streams because it's not about making nobody feel bad or good. It's just about saying the truth. Truth is the truth. Zen says all the God talks can be covered for criticism. Fair enough. I mean, I see Zen, you don't like Prime, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Like you said, I mean,
a lot of folks use God to cover up their, I can't think of the word. A lot of folks use God, man. So yeah,
for sure. because it's hard to prove, you know. So it's a very convenient / or it's a bedrock of which who you are. But no matter if you're trying to use it out of convenience or as a bedrock of your fundamental, you know, ideology, you can't really prove it. So it's a perfect lane to be in. Truth also says, I'm just looking at the change he made since JSU days. He didn't talk that way before. Nobody wants a phony. Hopefully it all works out for him. I pull him to succeed at the end of the day. He's us. Fair enough. Listen, man, I ain't trying to change nobody's mind. I'm just tell you what I know. That's not absolute. The expectations are not that rare. I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's not absolute. Exceptions. Yeah, they are actually. The exceptions are very rare. Exceptions are very rare, and it's funny in our community we love to argue with the exceptions when we see in our lived life that the numbers produce what the numbers produce. It's just that nobody wants to be seen as less than, so everybody thinks they're a winner. Everybody thinks they're the top tier. Reality is no. The numbers show what the numbers. That's all I'm saying. But again, I like the pushback, man. Like you don't have to argue. I mean, you don't have to agree with me. It's all good. Big LT, the atheist guy after him, see you about God talk, not being funny but true. The big LT, the atheist guy after him.
He's talking to somebody in the church.
It's some people who just don't want to hear that stuff. So I can see that. I can see that. The Black Basketball Channel 80/20 is practically absolute. 20 million% only happens periodically. Yeah, I don't love that, Zen. I don't love that. My dad wasn't the best man being around, but definitely would have made me a better man. Because you need a blueprint. Because if not, society molds who you are. Your environment molds who you are. And we know if you're in a low income area, come on, man. You know the rest. I ain't got to walk that out for you.
Yeah, we see it all the time, man. All the time. You see kids who you basically, this is when poverty is happening, you see crime rate go up. This is why you see the hood things, the crazy stuff that goes on in the hood, man. Even for me, I seen somebody make a post the other day. It was like, man, I'm so glad that I didn't want to be in the streets and this and that. And I sat back and thought about it to myself. I'm like, I was the exact same way. Even though I grew up in the hood, that lifestyle didn't appeal to me, man. It didn't appeal to me. Same reason why in my adult life I don't do certain things, because I couldn't imagine spending 10 minutes in jail. I probably would go crazy. So everything I've done in my life is to make sure I don't end up in jail, man. And I don't, because when you sit back and look at it, especially now that you're older, it's like, dude, you got dudes that's spending 40 years in jail who's never going to see the light of day again, who's never going to see their family again. You're missing birthdays, you're missing out on moments of life. You're sitting around looking at the four walls of your, whatever, the 8x8 cell that you're in with another dude. Yep. And you're sitting there looking at dudes every day. And I'm trying to talk to kids when I'm used to coach these kids. I'm like, dude, y'all understand how stupid that sounds? Being out in the streets, risking your life to be, for a little bit of change here and there, to be hood famous with the probability of ending up in jail or in prison. That don't sound crazy to you? And they was like, no, coach, man, this and that, gotta get them. Like, all right, man, I can only tell you so much. Speaking of that, I could tell us Quentin Grimes. I know you probably got to get out of here. I'll go to the story real quick. Quentin Grimes plays for the New York Knicks. Quentin Grimes comes from a two-parent household. And I had a kid on my team, my AAU team, played against Quentin Grimes in high school all 4 years. 3 years, he gave him, his sophomore year, he gave him like 20, 25 each time. By his senior year, he gave Quentin Grimes, every time they played, he gave Quentin Grimes 40-plus points every single time. Kids just can flat out put the ball in the bucket. But he came from a very chaotic household. Very chaotic household. Same type of build, Quentin Grimes maybe be a little 2 inches taller. And he ended up going to JUCO because his grades and that. Still was giving 50 points and this and that. And when COVID happened, he called me. He was like, Coach, we got to get out of here. And I told him, whatever you do not come back to Houston, Texas. Do not come back to Houston, Texas, because I knew what was going to happen. Came back home, got in the streets, and he used to text me. He was like, man, Coach, I see Quentin Grimes on TV. I know. this should be you. But you know, he fell in love with this street life because his family comes from that, and his lifestyle is very chaotic. So that's an example right there of a kid who could have it all, but he came from a single parent, non-parent household to a guy like Quentin Grimes who grew up with both of his parents. Sucks, but it happens all the time.
It's reality, man. It's reality. And to your point about jail, taking back to that movie Half Baked, it's like, man, how long you think you got? He's like, 55, 30. Man, I'm like, yo, get me out of here immediately. Immediately.
I would go crazy. I don't know if anybody in here has been to jail, man, but I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Nope. I said no more window alone. Oh, that movie's so funny. He said, no more window love. No.
I ain't seen that movie. No, we used to trip off that all the time. It's like, man, tell the Mr. Guy to get on the couch. It's like, and they asked him for his like one of his. So he woke up and laid back down. The guy.
Funny. Oh man.
Oh my God.
All right, y'all. Man, I gotta go to work today, man. I'm gonna shut it down, man. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this stream. It's been fun. And again, man, I like the conversation. I like the pushback. I would have opened the panel up, but I gotta go to work, so I can't do it today. But y'all stay locked in. Thank you again for SKC being a member of the channel and also putting 10 on it. Thank you so much, sir. You are the carrier of this stream. And thank y'all for just listening, being an active part of it. Y'all go subscribe to my boy Between the Game Sports. Yes, Will, you got anything before we peace out?
No, man, that's it, man. You know, I'm always ready to get on these things, man, and talk sports and talk happenings in life, man. Shit, anytime you hit me and need me on here, I'm coming.
Already, man. Like Coach Prime said, I'm coming. I know some of y'all don't like Coach Prime, but it is what it is, baby. All right, y'all. Y'all happy Sunday, man. Y'all enjoy your family, enjoy things that make you happy, and we'll see you on the next side. Peace.